Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's a brand new deck profile for you guys today. This time it's on Yubel, and the deck that I've been wanting to build since Phantom Nightmare came out, especially because we got a lot of new support cards for Yubel, and it even just got stronger thanks to the new field spell Nightmare Throne, which just came out in the most recent set. So pretty happy to see that. And I actually got to give a shout out to my friend Grant, who helped me kind of build this deck together. So if it weren't for him, yeah, it would have taken me much longer to get this deck out for you guys. But anyway, yeah, so my build is actually a 44 card build, not going to push any more than that, and I just wanted to showcase to you guys what my build is like. So yeah, let's go get started. Now, the most common complaint about this deck is that it can be a little bricky, which yeah, it can be true, but as long as you play the correct ratios and everything, you should do just fine. And honestly, this deck's got a lot of good matchups this format. So starting off with 3 copies of the Spirit of Yubel. This card's nuts. So like the other Yubel monsters, cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, you take no battle damage involving this card. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon one of your Yubel that is either banished in your hand, deck, or graveyard. So keep in mind, it can only summon the original one. Also, whenever your opponent declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is special summoned, you can add to your hand or set one spell or trap that mentions Yubel. So yeah, Spirit of Yubel is just a great card overall. And the fact that it's a level 10 too, which is going to be pretty relevant as we go along very soon. Next up, 1 copy of the original Yubel. So basically the OG one, obviously, cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, you take no battle damage involving this card. Before damage calculation, if this face-up attack position card is targeted for an attack, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to their attacking monster's attack points. So yeah, that's pretty good. And it gets even better as I'll elaborate more on that. Once per turn during the end phase, you have to tribute one other monster or destroy this card. So this part is mandatory. And of course, if this card is destroyed, you can, except by its own effect, you get to special summon 1 Yubel Terra Incarnate from your deck or your grave. So that's pretty good. Of course, you have to pay costs, but there are ways you can kind of play around that anyway, since, the Yubel cards, basically allow you to pop this card just to go into Terra Incarnate. Speaking of which, next up, 1 Yubel Terra Incarnate. So it has the same effects as the previous Yubel, only this time it has a end phase effect where it basically dark holes every other monster on the field except itself. So yeah, that's pretty nuts considering that, yeah, your opponent basically has to be careful about how to get rid of this card. And of course, if this card is destroyed, you could special summon a Yubel the Ultimate Nightmare from your deck or your graveyard, which I do play this one. Keep in mind, you don't technically have to run this one. I've seen some builds that just play 2 of the original Yubel and 1 Terra Incarnate, but I just wanted to keep to the theme. So yeah, I decided to play the 1 Ultimate Nightmare. So again, similar to the previous 2, you can't be destroyed by battle. You take no battle damage involving this card, and if your opponent attacks this face-up attack position monster, they take the damage instead. Also, this also destroys the monster that attacked it. So yeah, Ultimate Nightmare is pretty good on its own right. Alright, so now for the engine cards. Playing 3 copies of Samsara D Lotus. Definitely one of your best starters. You can tribute this card to special summon 1 Yubel monster from your deck, and this can include Spirit of Yubel. During your opponent's turn, when a monster effect is activated while you control a Yubel monster, quick effect, you can tribute this card. The activated effect becomes your opponent destroys 1 Yubel monster on the field. So yeah, that's really strong. The fact that it just lets you kick off your Yubel effects, yeah, that's pretty annoying. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard while you control a Yubel, you can special summon this card or just add it back to your hand. Next, 3 copies of Gruesome Grave Squirmer, so another good Yubel card here. If you control a Fiend monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, then destroy 1 Yubel or 1 monster that mentions it in your monster zone. So yeah, this card basically acts as a weird form of disruption, but it's really good. Also, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense points, which basically that's all our monsters. And then, yeah, that's basically it. Next up, our secondary star, which basically acts as indirect support for the archetype. 3 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. When this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Uriah, Haman, or Raviel, or a card that mentions it in its text from your deck to your hand, in which case you're going to add Opening of the Spirit Gates. And also, during your main phase, you can get an additional normal summon for 1 Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense. So, yeah, this card just does a lot of does a lot of cool things for the Yubel archetype as a whole, considering, like, yeah, they're all Fiends, 0 attack and defense points. And not to mention, it basically enables you to summon another copy of itself. So, there's just a lot you can do with Dark Beckoning Beast. Next up, one copy of Unchained Soul of Shavara. This is the only Unchained main deck monster that I play. It's limited for a reason, but I mean, for a deck like this, that's pretty good. During the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can target one fiend monster or face down card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card. But while this card is face up on the field, you can't special summon anything except fiends, but that's okay, that's what we're on. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can set one Unchained spell or trap directly from your deck. So yeah, Shavara just adds a lot of good utility, and again, there are ways to kind of kickstart this engine for the Yubel deck as a whole. So like I'll get into that momentarily, but yeah, that's about it. Now moving on to the hand trap lineup. So my hand trap lineup is pretty standard. I'm playing 9 hand traps total, 3 Ash, you know, still the best hand trap, 3 Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is really good right now, especially because like we're in a very field spell heavy format, so you definitely want to get rid of those as quickly as you can. Also helps you play around Appaloosa too, because like I know some people say that Appaloosa is going to get hit on the next ban list. I don't think it will. Honestly, it's perfectly fine where it is. But again, yeah, as long as you chain it correctly, yeah, Ghost Ogre can be very detrimental. 3 Imperm, you know, why not, right? For the spells, playing 3 copies of Nightmare Throne. Shout out again to my friend Grant for helping me acquire these. He was really cool. You know, he and I came up with a fair trade, and yeah, I definitely love these. So when this card is activated, it lets you search out a fiend monster with 0 attack or defense from your deck, or you can either add it to your hand or you can destroy it. If a face-up Yubel monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, you can add to your hand 1 Yubel monster from your deck, grave, or banished pile, whose level is higher or lower than the monster that just left, and then you can special summon that monster, ignoring its summoning conditions. So a great way to kind of just flow around your Yubel monsters, you know. 1 terraforming, you know, gotta search out this field spell as quickly as possible. 3 Nightmare Pain. During the main phase, you can destroy 1 dark monster in your hand or face up on the field and add a Yubel. Or you can add 1 monster that mentions it. Or, yeah, 1 card, I'm sorry, that mentions it. So, it lets you search out basically just about anything. While you control a Yubel monster, your opponent has to attack Yubel monsters. Also, they take battle damage involving Yubel monsters. So, really nice card overall. To play a good board breaker, I decided to stick with 3 copies of Super Poly. Yeah, you could play Mature Chronicle if you want to search it out, but honestly, you don't need to most of the time because like it is kind of a brick and you want to try to run as less bricks as possible. So that's why I'm not running Mature Chronicle, just to search out Super Poly, you know? Next up, 2 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates. I've seen some people play this at 3, but I think 2 is just fine, like 3 and 2. Because like, again, you just need to search it out more than hard opening with it. Plus, it can also cycle itself back, so like you're never really running out of these cards. So that's one of the unique things about this. So anyway, yeah, when this card's activated, you can search out anything that mentions Uriah, Haman, or Raviel in its text. And also, you can discard a card, special summon 1 fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your graveyard. And once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add 1 continuous spell from your graveyard back to your hand. So great way to recycle itself or another copy of Nightmare Pain, whatever you need, you know? Next up, 2 copies of Triple T and 1 Called by the Grave, you know, just good counterplay cards. I'm also on 1 for 1, just because, you know, we do run a few level 1s, so definitely a great way just to get them out, because you want to try to get your best starters out as quickly as possible. And for the only traps that I'm running, I'm playing 1 Eternal Favorite, you know, it's basically a fusion spell. I'm also playing the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, since I am on an Unchained engine. And I know some people don't play this, but I think it's a great card to play. So once again, shout out to my friend Grant for coming up with this idea. I'm playing the 1 copy of Escape of the Unchained, because like you pop an Unchained monster you control and you get to pop a card your opponent controls. So it's a great way just to get rid of like certain key pieces to your opponent's strategy. So again, field spells, or if you want to go for like the Tempide Dragons, like hit their tuners. Definitely, yeah, just a way to kind of disrupt their plays. So I would definitely recommend trying this out. But that's it for the main deck. Alright, so now moving on to the extra deck, I'm going to start with the Link monsters. I'm playing 1 copy of Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama. Definitely a good one of. Some people like to play this at 2, but I think 2 is too many. 1 should be more than enough, honestly. If this card's special summon, you can search out any other Unchained monster from your deck. We only got 1 target for that. You can also get it back from your graveyard too, so that's pretty nice. If a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, You can banish this card, special summon one fiend monster from your hand or grave, then you can destroy one card you control. So just another way to get out your Yubel effects. Next up, one Unchained Soul of Rage, basically IP Masquerena for the Unchained. So basically, yeah, during the main phase, you can target one face-up special summon monster your opponent controls. Immediately after this effect resolves, link summon a Dark Link monster. So in which case you're going to use this to go into Unchained Soul of Anguish. So kind of does the same thing, but again, it's just bigger. So yeah, like just a great way just to steal one of your opponent's pieces and just use it for your own. So definitely something to consider. Next up, one Muckracker from the Underworld. Another good Dark Fiend Link monster to play. It's basically just Monster Reborn for your Fiend monsters. Of course, it does lock into Fiends, but again, that's what we're playing, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, Muckracker just adds a lot of great utility. Next up, one Almirage. I know a lot of people like to play this simply because, you know, we are on a bunch of normal summon monsters. And if, like, let's say your Dark Beast gets negated, at least you have a way to get your engine live still just by linking off the Almirage. Use the gates just to bring it back, and then you can go to Muckracker and then just keep link claiming from there. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can kind of play around Disruption. So that's one of my favorite things about this deck. One SP Little Knight. If you don't have it, you know, there's budget alternatives like IP. Masquerena is a good one. You could also play another copy of Yama if you wanted to. So like there's just other good alternatives to SP Little Knight. I'm playing the Dark Charmer Gloomy. Great for the mirror matches especially. Good against branded, you know, because they are on dark monsters. So yeah, like dark comes up quite a bit. One Appaloosa, one access code for more board breakers. One Djinn Buster. You definitely want to rack up on monster negates because they're getting a little harder to come by, especially now that Baron de Floor and Borreload Savage Dragon are banned, so definitely want to take advantage of that. One Verudris. Surprisingly enough, I actually just pulled this out of random pack of the set, so yeah, I definitely couldn't believe it, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to build Yubel. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to get the core fairly easily, so definitely a great card just to have. Good card for time. I decided to play one Gustav Max. I mean, why not, right? Especially if you know, didn't kill your opponent during the battle phase, you can also use it just to be it can also act as a good game ender. So I would definitely recommend it. Do you have to play it? No, but again, it's something to consider. For my super poly targets, one Mud Dragon, one Garura, and of course, funny enough, this card is also a super poly target. Yubel, the Loving Defender. So if this card is fusion summoned, you get to inflict damage to your opponent. So kind of like a Gaga Cowboy sort of deal. Also, like the original Yubels, can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect, in fact. And at the end of the damage step, if this card battle an opponent's monster, they take the damage. So yeah, it's so good. And also it gets to banish that monster too. So this card is pretty annoying to get around, not gonna lie. But anyway, that's it for that. Now for the side deck. Side deck's pretty self-explanatory, you know, 3 Nib, obviously, definitely a good going second card. 3 DD Crow. So Grant and I were talking about this card, saying that this is a little bit better than the Bestials right now, simply because, especially with Snake Eye still in the format and Tenpai Dragons being a deck, this card just has a little bit more flexibility. Yeah, you don't get a body, but at least you get to get rid of like a key piece from the graveyard, because like there's a lot of graveyard effects going around. Also pretty strong against the Voiceless Voice, so like you get rid of low, you know, that Skull Guardian is not going to have any more protection. So yeah, DD Crow, you know, definitely try it out. 3 Forbidden Droplet, definitely one of my favorite spells of all time. Double Lightning Storm because it's semi-limited. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. And of course, 3 copies of Skill Drain. Funny enough, this deck does not care about Skill Drain, especially if Nightmare Pain on the field. Your opponent's still going to take a lot of damage off the Yubel effects. And also you can get rid of it later if you need to with Forbidden Droplet. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.